Hello, my name is Matthew Hahn. I'm 37 years old, and I live in Kenosha, Wisconsin, in a pretty bad neighborhood. I work full time, but unfortunately, the amount of money I'm able to make, I'm barely able to afford my rent, my utility bills, which is just basic cable and electricity. I'm only able to actually afford to be able to eat once a day, which is dinner, because the only grocery store I can actually afford to eat at is the Family Dollar, and I am not able to collect food stamps because I make about $1,000 a month, which means if my rent and utilities is a little over $800 a month, means that I can't afford to really eat because it's gonna take at least if I'm gonna eat 3 meals a day, like breakfast and lunch and dinner, that means I'm gonna have to pay probably about $300 a month just for food alone. So this is just for food, rent, electric, and gas. So I can take showers, have hot water to wash my dishes, and have a roof on my head so when I come home from work. I typically work about 50, 55 hours a week. Sometimes less, it just depends because unfortunately I am going through a staffing company because the only other job I can actually get in Kenosha will be minimum wage, and I'm able to make anywhere from $10 to $12 an hour. But after taxes, I make about 500 a week. But after federal taxes, plus state taxes, plus what I have to pay the staffing company in order to drive me there and back, I wind up netting about $250 a week, and I make over 500. So they take out more than half of my paycheck every week. Every week. I've been having to ask my relatives to be able to let me borrow money here and there, make payments to them because my credit's so shot due to a student loan I took out when I was a single full-time father that I can't have a credit card. I had my license taken from me by the state of Wisconsin, and they made it so expensive for me to be able to legally drive again that I can't afford to drive a car. Had to sell the car to make ends meet because I can't legally drive it. If I got caught driving my car, they put me in jail for a year and more fines and probation. I got into a verbal argument with my wife, and because the police were called, some concerned citizen, because I got into a verbal argument. We weren't even really, I mean, we raised our voice to each other, but I never threatened her or hit her or anything like that. But just because of that, I was convicted of domestic violence. I had to serve, let's see here, over 14 months in jail, plus be on probation for well over a year, do anger management classes, and pay up to $900 in probationary fines. And this is not talking about just violations alone. You know, like I was hanging out with somebody that I didn't know was on probation. You just don't walk up to someone and say, "Hey, bud, are you on probation?" I mean, I think pretty much, I'd say probably 60 to 70% of Kenosha is on probation for nothing. Just for some dumb shit, for walking across the street in the wrong direction. You can't have a bail bondsman out here, and you can't get OR'd out here, which means that essentially, if you're in jail and you can't afford your bond because you can't even afford your rent or to feed yourself, then you're just in jail. And that's when you lose your house, all your property, everything, your reputation at your job. It's really that ridiculous. And now at this point, I mean, I like the house that I live in. I live in a duplex, which is nice. It's essentially an apartment. It's essentially a one-bedroom apartment that I live in. But that one-bedroom apartment plus my utilities is over $800 a month, which is insane. And when I'm only making $1,000 a month, if I might only make $900 a month or $800, I might just be able to pay my utilities and my rent for that month, and get off of work after working 8-10 hours a day, maybe sometimes 12, and then I have to go to the church, which of course, because I can't drive, I have to walk. So after getting out of work, I of course have to walk 2 miles to eat a meal that essentially wouldn't even satisfy a child, and I'm a grown 37-year-old man. And they'll give you maybe like one peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch. I'm literally starving. And I work. And I'm not a criminal. I don't commit crimes. I don't lie. I don't steal. I don't cheat. I don't cheat people. I don't steal. I'm not a drug addict. I'm just a hardworking, blue-collar American man that lives in America. Lives in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And everyone here is struggling. Everywhere in the world. I'm watching these things on YouTube. I'm watching the news. And I thought our president, Donald Trump, was supposed to do his best to fix this economy. To make hardworking Americans be able to afford the right to eat, to breathe, to sleep in peace. Nope. And I was giving him a chance, man. And I'm not going to judge him 100% until his term is up. But I'm going to say this time, I'm going to have to vote for Bernie Sanders. Some people call him a socialist. Some people say, you know, he's a communist. I don't believe so. I don't believe he's a socialist whatsoever. I believe people should be able to have health care. I don't have health care. The only way I can go to a hospital is if I go to the emergency room. That's the only way I can go to our local hospital. So if I get sick or hurt on the job and I need medical attention or medication, I got to spend $1,000, dude. I don't qualify for health care through my work. They don't offer it. I don't qualify for food stamps because I make too much money because I make over $900 a month, regardless of my rent and regardless of my bills. So I don't qualify for food stamps. And even if I did, they're only going to give me, at one point in time I was making $700, $800 a month, and so they'd give me $15 a month. But in order to qualify for that and for the health care, I would have to give them 40 hours a week training for job programs and all this insanity, dude. All this insanity. And I just wanted to make this video, give a shout out to people, and let people know, man, the struggle is real, and I'm right there with you guys. And it's time that we, as American citizens living in a democratic state, in a democratic country, that we should stand up to these people, and we should tell them, you know what? You need to give up them yachts and the mansions. I know you work hard and everything, but how many yachts do you have to own? How many homes do you have to own? How many fast cars do you have to collect? How many fancy meals? I mean, I've lived in extremely rich areas due to people I've met in my life, It's like, dude, you don't have to spend $250 on a fucking pizza. $250 on a pizza? What's really on that pizza that qualifies it to be $250 fucking dollars? What, because you just live in an area? Like on the Pacific Palisades, which is in Southern California, for example. Me and my ex-wife, we went out there to go help her cousin babysit her new boyfriend's niece. Because they got hired to do it, but she didn't want to do it. She said, here, why don't you guys come over here? And I can't afford to pay you no money. But if you come by for a couple of weeks, we'll feed you and put you up. And we said, okay. And we were, at the time, traveling. So we thought, all right, cool. We'll do work trade. So that's what we did. She asked me to go, ride my bike or their bike, whatever, to the store to go get shit. This grocery store was selling regular ass, generic boxes of macaroni and cheese for $7.50. And this was 13 years ago. So, I'm not even talking about Kraft, dude. I'm talking about like generic brand macaroni and cheese, $7.50. 13 years ago. So these people need to really open their eyes and realize that because of their greed and their laziness, that they are struggling and choking this country to death. And they're killing families every day. So they need to go do something about it. And it's too bad the laws nowadays are so damn strict, and we don't have the right to form militias or protect our property and our rights to have freedom of speech, which is part of the Constitution that we're guaranteed to have. Now they've created laws that take that away from us too. Make us all into victims, make us all look like criminals, give us all a record. This is becoming the utopian state. This is becoming just like they said in the George Orwell book, 1984. Open your eyes, people. open your eyes.